right, looks like our racers have got their streams up. We're just waiting for them to all ready up, and we will be ready to move. All right, we're just a few moments away from starting the race. We're just waiting for our last few racers to ready up, and we're good to go. We can see some gaps here in the player times. We can see 90 a full hour ahead of Muware as far as in-game time is concerned. Spritz, who was unable to join us last week, had another priority pop up, but they have caught up in the race, and they will be participating with the rest of the racers as they attempt to complete this goal. Yeah, we can see here someone is about 15 minutes ahead of 90, so this could be a sign of how our players are going to pan out as we get to the end of this race. Although this one is a little bit different. This goal is going to be a lot less exploration, a lot more boss fighting. So this may be an opportunity for some of the players to be favored more than others as they cope with the boss battles. There is our last dot done. Or dot ready. Our racers are setting up. We've got a few seconds to go. And our racers are off. This is the 5th and final segment of Blaster Master Blasting Again. For the PlayStation 1, our players have battled their way through a number of zones here. We fought through the cavern zone, we fought through the water zone, we fought through the lava zone, and now here we are in the second half of the plant zone. Our players have discovered it is a boss rush. They have been finding rooms that contain teleporters that make them rebattle the bosses that they have previously fought. The players have fought through the bosses, not in order of them encountering them, but in the order of the teleporters that they find, which decide whether they fight a Roddy boss or a tank boss. So we've seen them fighting some bosses a little bit out of order, depending on whether they find more tank teleporters or more of the Roddy teleporters. But they are facing the later bosses later as a consequence. We did have a couple of scenarios where the players almost fought all 3 of the tank bosses. We might remember in the previous session, the boss of the 7th zone, the 2nd lava zone, was a pretty nasty Star Fox style flying rail shooter boss. Regretfully, they will have to battle that boss again, as we are about to see Muware deal with. Muware knows what's coming. He's really unenthusiastic about it, but he slips into that teleporter knowing what he is going to face. He is going to have to face the rail shooter boss a second time. Meanwhile, our other 3 players are searching. All the players need to find 3 more teleporters, and then they need to find the bunker that contains the final boss of this zone, which is a new boss. They have to fight the 7 bosses they fought in the previous zones, plus an 8th boss, which is unique to this area. Which is not to be mistaken for the final boss. They will have to face off against the final boss at the end of this segment to claim victory in Blaster Master Blasting again. We are playing this game on the normal difficulty. This game does feature an easy and a hard difficulty. And as a little bit of an extra treat, when our players beat the game, they will unlock a cosmetic upgrade that they could use for a future playthrough, but I find it unlikely that any of them will take advantage of that. We see Spritz and Nighty here. In the same room, there's this room with these 3 Gundam-style mechs. These mechs are nasty. Absolutely nasty. And if you can avoid fighting them, you absolutely should, because they are powerful. They take a lot of damage. They dish out a lot of damage, and usually don't really give you anything. They're not really worth your time. Spritz here is coping a little bit with the map here, trying to figure out where this boss is that the map allegedly says exists. Nighty has found a save point here. He's going to top off his health. Save points in this game will refill your health completely, although they do so very slowly for some reason. Looks like Muir is having a pretty good boss fight here. Has whittled down a number of the boss's components by a healthy margin here. These purple homing missiles are nasty. You do have to keep moving. They deal very little damage, but if you stop moving, they add up very quickly. Someone has found a room that has allegedly a door, but I think that you can't find it. There are a couple of places where rooms advertise doors that you cannot in fact reach because they're high up, and you're meant to exit them from one side and drop. Looks like Spritz has found another Roddy boss here. His gun upgrade is maxed out, but he takes a moment to pick up some more gun upgrades just in case he might unlock a super secret 7th level gun. And there is no super secret 7th level gun. We were taking some damage on this rail shooter boss as it passes. That's always a problem when you are in a first-person mode and you can't see what's coming up behind you. You just have to guess where the boss is going to come from by ducking into a corner. Muir takes a death here, just rams headfirst in the boss. So Nighty and Spritz T have both found a Roddy boss room here, and they're both fighting the fiery chicken. This is a really inconsistent boss. He's not very strong. He takes damage pretty easily, but he's really hard to hit. So Spritz is trying to catch him with a grenade, because if you can get him to run into a grenade, just like Spritz has done, he just explodes. We see simultaneous kills here from Spritz and Nighty, both of them defeating the boss and surviving. Looks like Nighty is just a second ahead of Spritz. Spritz almost figuring out where the teleportal is. Meanwhile, someone has found another tank boss, but because someone has not yet found the 3rd tank boss porter, he's only going to fight the level 5 boss instead. We see someone is getting some good use there out of the thunder power. Thunder shoots out an electrical barrier in front of the player, and it just deals lots of damage on contact. Unfortunately, someone didn't get close enough. It has very low range. You have to get right up into the boss's face. Unfortunately, because someone was so far back, didn't quite deal as much damage as they could have. We saw earlier Spritz taking good advantage of that Thunder, and we can see Spritz picking up yet another Thunder upgrade here. I think that might be his 8th and final Thunder upgrade, maxing out the Thunder sub-weapon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's it. Spritz T has completely maxed out the Thunder upgrade. It is at its highest level of power and its maximum amount of energy. So it seems like Spritz has been converted. He is part of the Church of the Thunder upgrade, of which I am a member as well. Someone taking an unfortunate death here against the level 5 boss. We'll have to give it another go. Of course, none of the players have defeated the second iteration of the World 8 boss, so they will all have to go through the fresh hell that Muir is currently experiencing. Spritz trying desperately to escape these killer robots. But just not enough hover juice in his tank. There we go. He picks up the hover refill in midair that is needed to reach the top here, and Spritz is able to climb through this passage. He's taken quite a bit of a beating, though. Hopefully he finds a save point shortly that he can use to top off his health and mark a checkpoint. Someone is crossing some platforms here. There's a platforming section here towards the end that I think takes you to the bunker where the 8th boss is. Maybe this is not the right spot. I might be thinking of someplace different. Because the bunker for the 8th boss is in the bottom right corner of the map. Muir has destroyed the pilot of the Chapter 8 boss. So now this mech is going to get a little bit out of control. We're taking some evasive maneuvers. The key to this boss is getting a lot of damage when the boss gets up close, because when it gets up close, it stops fighting back, and it sits still where you can just hit it with everything you've got, and it's absolutely imperative that you deal a lot of damage when this happens. Nicely done. Muir's taken off one of the legs. That'll make the boss a little less threatening. But not much. Muir is still in a very rough patch right now. He's out of his blaster ammo too. If he has some thunder ammo, he might use it, except for he's dead, so that's not really a concern for him now. The good news is the Chapter 8 unique boss is going to be less of a threat than this boss. Although the final boss may also pose a little bit of a headache for the players. We'll see how they manage to do against that. I think someone may have picked out a save point that's a little bit closer to their preferred boss fight. And Nighty's got a boss marked on his map, but he hasn't quite gotten to it yet. He might be taking a circuitous route to get there. Looks like Spritz T has found a save point. Spritz has been taking a lot of deaths in this race, so I think it's good for him that he's taking advantage of this area just being littered with save points everywhere. This means that he has plenty of opportunities to stop, top off his health, and make a checkpoint. Looks like someone has identified another Roddy boss here. So we'll see which one it's going to be. Looks like it's the giant mirror boss. And someone remembers right away how this boss works. Unlike the other bosses, you don't fight this boss directly. He spits out all of these orbs. And the orbs are what he attacks with, but they're also his health. You'd have to keep destroying these in order to progress the fight. And of course, the fewer orbs that are around, the easier it is to deal with because the boss has less projectiles to go. It actually works out a little bit in someone's favor. He took damage. He did lose his flamethrower, but the flamethrower is kind of a threat almost. It's a double-edged sword. It's got really good persistent damage as long as something's in the hitbox, but its range is really terrible. Compared to here, getting out this grenade launcher that is the level 5 weapon. The grenade launcher deals a lot of damage and has much better range. And we see someone has no difficulty whatsoever in finishing off the boss. So that is going to be another boss defeated for someone. I think that might leave him with 3 more bosses to finish. Spritz is down to 3 bosses left. He has found his boss number 6 here. Unfortunately, it is the refight with the Chapter 8 boss, or with the Chapter 7 boss that Muir is also on. So Muir and Spritz are both fighting the same boss, but Spritz is a little bit ahead for having found one of the Roddy bosses beforehand. Someone is offered an opportunity to pick a weapon, and it looks like someone's going for more thunder weapons here. Now, Spritz might have a little bit of an advantage in this fight. Not only is he a little bit ahead because he's defeated one more boss, but also he just did part number 4 just yesterday, catching up since he was unable to play last weekend. So this fight might be a little fresher in his mind as well. So he may be able to rely a little bit on some of the muscle memory that he built up yesterday as he goes into this fight. So Muir has taken off 2 of the boss's arms now. So this boss is significantly less threatening when it gets in his face because he only has 1 arm to stay away from instead of all 3 of them. Muir has drained all of his weapon and his blaster, but he still has his main gun. So we may be seeing a victory here for Muir. Let's jinx it as hard as we can with the commentator curse. Muir's very hesitant here to get too close in front of this boss. We're underwhelmed with his homing missiles here. Unfortunately, the boss likes to stay just outside of homing missile range. We see Nighty has joined our other players in this fight. So we now have 3 players facing off against the Chapter 7 boss refight. And this looks like a victory here for Muir. No, there's still 1 piece of this boss left. Where has the boss gone? Oh, there it is. just a sliver of health left on its life bar. And there it is. There is the victory for Muir. He is going to be incredibly thankful to have survived that. And has a healthy life bar here, so he just needs to make his way back to the save point and check in that progress, and he will be done with facing off against this boss for the rest of the game. There is no third refight. This is an Okami, making you fight Orochi 4 times in one playthrough. Spritz T getting some good use out of the Thunder upgrade. We see Nighty also using the Thunder upgrade a bit when the boss gets in close. Spritz is making pretty good progress against this boss. Nighty still has a long way to go here. Looks like Muir is going to stick with his tried and true homing missiles. Homing missiles have been a reliable source of damage for him. And so he is sticking with them further. So someone has found the bunker here. It's at the end of a pretty long passage. Unfortunately, it still has a force field across it. And that force field is powered by the other 7 bosses. So you do have to do the bunker last. Which means that someone is unfortunately going to have to move all the way back to the other side of the map. And then come all the way back here. But the good news is at least he will know where he is. So it looks like Spritz T also has claimed a victory here against the Chapter 7 boss. So that is 2 of our 4 players have managed to make it through. Nighty is in a pretty precarious position, even more precarious position now that his ship has exploded and he is dropping parachute in an endless corridor of lava. So he's going to go ahead and load his save file, and he's going to make another attempt against this boss. So at this point, this is pulling Spritz T ahead. So Spritz has found another item here, and it looks like Spritz is going to go for another blaster upgrade. A good choice. That was a freebie item for Spritz there. Does not have to fight a boss to claim it. Or is that? Maybe that was the one that they got for the fight with the boss. I wasn't paying close attention. So 2 of our players have defeated the Chapter 7 boss, which is going to be a nice change of pace for them. Muir has defeated the boss. Still needs to find another 3 bosses somewhere in this area. Spritz only needs to find 2 more bosses. Or to be more accurate, they do need to find the last of the boss refights and then make their way to the far top right corner of the map, and that's where they will find the final and most challenging of the bunkers, which is a bit of a maze, to put it lightly. We've got a bit of a platforming challenge here for Muir. Has to climb these platforms that move horizontally. Thankfully, these platforms are made of the mysterious material that occurs so often in video games. One-way steel. Mysterious steel plates that can be passed through in one direction but not the other. Truly, of the many things in video games that we would want to invent, hamburgers that cause you to recover from gunshot wounds, maybe picking up teleporters that allow you to travel across the map in an instant, Perhaps the best of the technologies that has not yet been achieved is, of course, the one-way steel platforms. Got some almost zombies ate my neighbors-esque music here. Spritz has found a room that was marked on the map but had not been explored. A little bit disappointed to realize it's just a save point. Enough so that it looks like he didn't even bother to save his game. In the meantime, he is checking his map as he tries to identify some of these passages that he has not yet explored. Thankfully, the game is generous enough to mark any boss rooms that you found on the map. So he is in no danger of finding a boss and then losing it so long as he gets it marked off on his map. And he is in a little bit of a rough spot in this boss. He's taking quite a bit of a beating. His weapon energy is a little bit low. But the boss is in a vulnerable state. It doesn't have a whole lot of health left on the bar. So it's not impossible for Nighty to pull this through, but it's going to be difficult. Nighty getting a little bit of use here out of the force field weapon. I do believe that the force field deflects enemy shots. But not very efficiently. Oh, Nighty switches weapons, but he gets caught by that one rotating arm. So that is tragically going to be the death of Nighty, and he's going to have to make another shot of it. It looks like someone is making another attempt here against the Chapter 5 boss. This time, he makes very harsh use of that Thunder upgrade, and it really pays off. The boss, it explodes every piece of the boss except for the main body. So now it is a simple game of tag here. Someone just has to avoid getting tagged while tagging the boss with as many bullets as he can, and that will soon lead to a victory. The homing missile has been a little bit of a source of frustration for both someone and Muir. It has a very limited range, and it has a bad habit of locking on, and as you back off, it loses its lock on. So it does actually require a little bit of finesse to find just that sweet spot where you're just close enough that you can lock on, but you want to be as far away from the boss as possible, just in case it decides to shoot a homing missile back at you. It's like Muir has found another boss here. It's a Roddy boss. I think this could be the Fire Chicken boss, which we saw a little bit earlier. We saw Nighty and Spritz battling. This looks like a victory here for someone. Someone going to park right in the dead center of the room. Optimal strat, obviously, because you want to be right here and just get pulled up into this teleporter as soon as it appears. That feels so good when you're just sitting in the right spot. Or you're not sitting in the right spot. You're scooched over just a little bit far and you don't get caught. So there are only 2 more bosses for someone to defeat, as represented by those 2 little icons in the waterfall. Ooh, Muir's got the boss right in the middle. Oh, that was a good opportunity to get some quick hits. That's when you want to drop some grenades. Oh, there we go. He gets a lot of hits on the boss when it slows down right in front of him. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Oh, it just runs through the grenade. Wasn't quite as much damage as it could have been, but Muir's making a lot of damage here. He's making progress. The boss is in the right spot. Oh, he just needs to get a couple of grenades on him. Just a sliver of health left here. Gets another good grenade shot on him. Muir's got this guy. He's just gotta just get a little bit more damage here. There we go. And his legs are broken. Fire Chicken just bursts into an explosion of flames. And it's gonna chalk another boss off of the list for Muir. It's like Spritz is taking a moment here to play with the Gundam mechs. I think he sees something up in this tree that he would like. So there's 2 more bosses for Muir to fight. Although in reality it's 1 more boss, refight, and then Muir will need to defeat the boss of this zone. Now he looks like he's having a pretty good fight here this time. His health is in a good spot, and the boss does not have much health left on its list, on its bar. There we go. There is the victory for Nighty. So Nighty has defeated the Chapter 7 boss refight. I think that may just leave someone as the only player who hasn't defeated. And in fact, I think that is the last boss that someone needs to fight before he moves on to the final labyrinth here. So it seems like all of the players managed to get through that boss fight much more quickly than they did in their first attempt. If you'll recall last week's race, someone had a very good time against that boss. I think it only took him 2 attempts to defeat that boss. So hopefully that was not a fluke. This is his opportunity to prove that it was, in fact, raw animal talent that allowed him to defeat that boss in only 2 attempts. Do animals have raw talent? Is that a thing that animals actually have? So Nighty is given another opportunity to pick up an icon. He's going to pick up his 8th and final Thunder pickup here. Nighty does have 1 more free pickup he will receive when he fights the refight against the Mirror Monster boss. So he'll need to be thinking about what his next priority is. Having a full Thunder gauge for the final boss is going to be a boon for each of these players, so they're wisely picking those up. And there someone finds his final teleporter, and it's his turn to fight the level 7 refight. In a sense, someone is probably in the lead right now. He does have the most difficult boss left to fight in the refights, but he is the first player to find his 7th of 8 bosses. The other players are still on number 6. And more importantly, he does know where the location of the final bunker is, so he'll know to go straight there once he's defeated the other bosses. So this is a tight race. Our players are still close together. And of course, the final boss is still a wild card. Our players might find themselves taking wildly different amounts of time to defeat that boss. A couple of reminders for some other races that are upcoming, just in case you guys are bummed out by the fact that this is our last segment of Blaster Master Blasting again. We are going to have another race coming up in a meager 2 days from now. On Tuesday, October 12th, we are going to be playing a mysterious game that will be announced at the end of today's broadcast. That'll be a late evening game, and that'll be a much shorter goal than we've been doing normally to accommodate that late night slot. But we will have a surprise game that I think will be a treat for everybody. Probably a game most of you have never seen before. But we'll recognize instantly when you see it. And and that'll be a lot of fun. We also have, starting next Sunday, during the same time slot, next Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be playing The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons for the Game Boy Color. If you can put your mind's eye back 2 weeks from today, or not 2 weeks, but 2 months from today, and remember we played a game called The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages on the Game Boy Color. Well, it turns out that they made a second Legend of Zelda game for the Game Boy Color. Capcom doesn't do things by halves, unless those things are called Mega Man number 11. They do things wholeheartedly, and those things are going to be 2 Legend of Zelda games in the Game Boy Color. We've already played the first of those games. We played Oracle of Ages. Our players are going to be using the in-game link feature. They are going to be continuing their adventure in The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons, and they're going to play through another 8 dungeons to see the final true ending for beating both games back-to-back. And hopefully you folks will join us for that. There's still time to participate. If you're interested in participating in that race of The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons, you just need to have played through Oracle of Ages and have a password. In fact, you don't even need to stream it. All you need to do is just have that game completed and that password at your ready, and you'll be allowed to participate with the rest of us. We are going to play through the full game. It's going to be segmented in 5 parts, kind of 5 parts, and that is going to last us pretty much up until the middle of November, which is just coincidentally, that lines up with the Mystery Tournament 16 signups. If you're interested in participating in Mystery Tournament 16, signups are open until November 12th, at which point then you'll be locked in or locked out, and of course one of those is far more preferable than the other. Once again, normally to join Mystery Tournament 13, or to join a Mystery Tournament, you would need to pick 1 or 2 games to submit as potential games and goals. You don't have to buy the games, you simply need to identify them and hopefully find them as games that can be freeware or easily emulated retro titles. But Mystery Tournament 16 is going to be an exception to that rule. If you are a brand new player that you've never played in Mystery Tournament, we want you to join. And to get you to join, we're going to waive that fee. You will not have to submit any games to participate. There is no cost to join Mystery Tournament. There never has been. But this is even less of a cost because you don't even really have to take any action but get into that challenge sign up. And this is going to be a really fun Mystery Tournament as well. We just got a demonstration last week of a new user interface for doing those streams, and I'm going to tell you it is incredibly slick. You guys are going to love every match. You're going to want to sign in just to see that opening screen. But now to take us back to Blaster Master blasting again, it looks like Spritz has found the final teleporter. This is going to take him to his 7th boss fight, and upon defeating it he will be able to make his way to the bunker to finish this up. He's going to do his refight here against the giant mirror creature. Oh my god, this is absolutely scary here on someone's side. Someone has defeated the Chapter 7 boss, but his tank is a sliver of health. Sophia J. the Third is being held together by chewing gum and bits of alien viscera. That's the only thing keeping this thing from just exploding as it goes over a bump. So although someone has won the fight, he is going to need to make his way to a save point without taking any damage. So hopefully he plans this out very carefully to make sure that he does not have to go through any dangerous rooms. Looks like Spritz is polishing off this boss. He took some damage. He's down to a level 3 gun, which is not that powerful, but the boss is right here on the end. Yep, that's it. He's cleared it out. He'll get a refill as soon as he enters. The Sophia again, so right now we've got a pretty close race here between someone and Spritz T. Although it might not be quite so close. Someone does have to get to the save point alive. There it is. All right. We can breathe a sigh of relief here. Someone has made it to the save point, making some use of that, of those force field, and his health is going to recharge. That green life meter is both his health meter for his tank. That's also the ability for someone to resist pooping himself with fright. Now that it's full, he is going to be able to resist that pretty easily now. So now it's a race between Spritz T and someone to see which one of these players will be the first one to reach the bunker that houses that level 8 boss. Spritz picking the gun-ups while he thinks about which upgrade that he wants to take. He's got a couple of choices here. I think he's maxed out on Thunder, so he wants something other than Thunder. Looks like he's going to grab a Blaster upgrade here. He's already mapped it out in his mind. 90 has reset his game. I'm not certain what happened on 90's side. I was not paying close attention. So Muir has slain the 3 killer Gundams in this room, and his reward for doing so is he did get a free upgrade to one of his sub-weapons. Now there is a boss room here. There is a boss room. Muir sees that there's a doorway here. Hopefully Muir takes the time to go through the door that doesn't go to the boss, because that might be a save point. So 90 has reset his game. I wonder what happened to 90. Perhaps he went to a place, identified it did not have what he wants, and he thought it was faster to just reset than to try to navigate back there. So Muir is doing a little bit of exploration here. Unfortunately, the submarine upgrade is a little bit of an issue. You cannot use the submarine to get out of the water. You do have to get onto a ledge and then let your tank jump out of it, which makes no sense whatsoever, but that's just the way that the game plays. Alright, Muir's making his way to the boss room. Thankfully, I think he realizes that it's going to be a Roddy boss here. Oh, no, that must not have been the door he was going for. He wanted the other door, which is probably going to be a save point. Yep, there it is. He sees that reassuring glow of the red lights that says, "Come here, I will protect you, I will make you safe." So I'm a little worried that someone may not have been able to read the room here, so to speak. He did previously identify the bunker, and that is marked on his map, and he saw it had a force field. It's possible he's thinking that he has to find like a generator somewhere, since that's how this game has played so far. In his mind, he might think, oh, I need to find the generator to shut off that force field, as opposed to sort of predicting how the game is thinking, and that in fact the game is really just thinking that all you have to do is defeat all the bosses, and that makes all the force fields go away. So hopefully that someone picks up on maybe that's the way that this works, and he makes his way back to that bunker, because that bunker is his ultimate destination. He does need to go there next if he wishes to continue to progress in the game. Otherwise, there's little of value for him in this zone, because at this point he's cleared out everything but that final bunker. So it's Muir's turn to face off against this boss. It takes him a moment to remember what he's doing, and oh yeah, now he remembers how this boss works. You have to destroy the orbs. Or perhaps he's forgotten. It has been 2 weeks since he fought this boss, so it is perfectly understandable to forget how this boss works. Moore's down to a level 4 gun. As you take damage, your firepower starts to dwindle really quickly. The boss gets more difficult the more you get hit, which this is normal game design, although if you ask me, it's one of the flaws in classic video game design thinking. Making the player weaker as they play poorly is usually the opposite of how you want to handle things. Well, the good news is Muir has made his way through most of the boss fight. He might still be able to pull this off. He's going to make some good use here of his hyper gun, which is a good weapon to use when he's in the midst of all of these little orbs. He needs to be dropping more of his little grenades, though. These grenades deal some pretty good damage. And it looks like Nighty has also discovered the final of the teleporters he needs. Unlike Muir, Nighty immediately remembers how this boss was fought. And so he has immediately jumped into the fray using his flamethrower and now his grenade launcher to take out these orbs as quickly as he can. Muir's making progress here slowly. After taking so much damage, though, this is getting slower and slower to do. He's making a good use of his hyper gun here to deal some damage. He needs to take out a couple more orbs. This is so close. Alright, Muir has survived it. Muir has survived the battle by the slimmest of margins, but nonetheless, it is a victory. And so Muir and Nighty, both neck and neck here, having defeated the final boss and need final of the 7 refight bosses, and they will be making their way to the chamber where they will be fighting the 8th boss of the 8th zone, which will unlock the way forward that they may fight the final boss of the game, the Plutonium Kaiser. So it looks like Spritz is made his way to the bunker. Picking up a couple of refills here before he flies on over and finds that indeed the force field is gone. He is able to enter on foot. We've had a good run of this tank, but now it is time to do some battling on feet. Nighty is trying to decide which one of these pickups that he wants. He gets another free upgrade here. Looks like he might be going for his 8th blaster. But he also could pick up a little more force field. No, Nighty's not interested in force field. Nighty was going to pick up that 8th blaster. So his blaster power-up is completely maxed out now. So he will be going into the final boss with full complement of blaster and thunder ammo, which I think is an excellent choice to be made. And so here is Spritz in the final dungeon. This final dungeon is a bit of a maze. And it's going to put as many maze elements as it can. Here, Spritz is dealing with an element that did show up in a couple of the earlier dungeons, although it's kind of mildly applied, so you might not remember that it exists. There's floor panels that they need to step on that light up either red, green, or I think there's a blue color. And certain doors only are unlocked while the panels are in that state, so you do have to keep switching between the red, blue, and green states in order to navigate. There's going to be a couple of segments here where the players are going to need to, they're going to find a force field, they're going to need to use the they're going to need to find the force field generator, break it, and then schlep back across the dungeon. There is going to be an unfortunate amount of back and forth in this dungeon. So it will be absolutely mandatory for the players to remember where they saw the force fields and head right back to them in the shortest path possible, or they are going to lose time, which is going to give their opponents an opportunity to catch up, because it looks like the other players are on their way. It looks like someone is making his way back to the bunker. It looks like he's figured out what he's supposed to be doing next. Muir and Nighty have both defeated their requisite refights. And it looks like they might both be making their way to the bosses, back to that bunker as well. Oh, Nighty didn't quite have enough juice to make it up. He's stopping for a moment to just think about, is he really doing well? Or is his mother being insincere with him? Nighty is turning back. I wonder what's on his mind. Perhaps Nighty has stopped to think maybe it's been a while since he's saved. Or maybe he's just thinking about he's the only one what? You're the only one who can save the planet. You're the only one who can make your sister cry. And here Spritz T has found a heartwarming moment. He has found the original tank, Sophia the Third, and he's going to get the story of how his mom came to Earth, fell in love with his dad, and he's thinking, oh, holy crap, I really didn't want this. I was hoping that this contained the fourth fight with the Chapter 7 boss. Looks like someone is going to be the second of our players to enter the bunker that houses the Chapter 8 boss. Looks like Nighty's finished up whatever it is that he was doing. Perhaps he's farming enemies? And he appears to be farming enemies for something. Health? More weapon pickups? Not certain. Oh, I see what Nighty's doing. One of the enemies drops a green energy refill. I think he's trying to exploit it. You do need to pick up that energy thing in midair. But picking up that first pickup, I think, gives you just a little bit more juice that you can use. There we go. Nighty grabs the one in midair. He's going to reach the top of the passage, and he is going to discover the final bunker here. There it is. So Nighty will be the third of our players to make his way into the bunker that houses the final boss of this zone. Thankfully, someone finding the save point here. There's an easy to find save point so that you can check off your progress, so that you feel confident that you are in here and you're able to proceed without concerns over whether or not your progress is saved. Nighty's a big fan of doing these side hops. Which I think is marginally faster than walking, so I think that little bit is in fact helping Nighty to move a little bit faster. So Nighty also finding this cutscene with his mother. I think this might be a completely optional cutscene. It could be a fun gimmick, a version of Blaster Master. That's like Metal Warriors, where you don't have one particular tank, you keep stealing tanks from other people. See someone facing off against the Spike Gauntlet here. We've got more spikes to go. I do feel like that's something that that Blaster Master Zero hasn't quite done that much with. They tried to do it a little bit, I know Blaster Master 03, minor spoilers, has a couple of segments where they force you to be separated from your tank, and you have to run through a couple of rooms without your tank to find a save point to summon it back. But they don't really do a whole lot with it. There's not. I mean, I think they assume that the tankless parts are when you go inside of the bunkers or the dungeons or whatever you want to call them, and that they're just content to leave it at that. So Muir is pretty far away from the bunker. He may still be in his I don't know where I'm going mode at the moment. We'll have to wait to see the next time that Muir checks his map. Now Muir's got the bunker labeled, so it's possible Muir went there, saw it blocked off, and he's still in a mindset of I must look for the thing that deactivates the force field, not realizing that he has already deactivated the force field by virtue of just shooting all these bosses. So he's in a little bit of a rough spot here, but at least his mother has promised that she will always be with him. So with that heartwarming bit of knowledge, I think it's an opportunity for Muir to make progress. Someone is thinking about jumping over that. That's not going to work. Yeah, you can't jump like that. So this is a very weird room right here that someone is in. So there's these walkways. Hold on, you gotta actually move so that you can see what you're doing here, buddy. There's this walkway, and it seems like it's a dead end. There's just this goddamn tree in your way. And he's just gonna shoot the tree, and it just falls. And it's like, they've put a lot of effort into this. Like, this is a really non-standard sort of obstacle here that we haven't seen before. And we really didn't see anything like that. I mean, we had one dungeon where you blew up the thing and it iced over. But most of the dungeons have just been pretty bland. I think if they had put more of these things in here, like blowing up mutant trees and things like that, it would have given these bunkers a lot more personality. Someone getting a little bit hasty there. He jumps right headfirst into a falling tree trunk. Tree trunks do, in fact, are solid. They possess mass. That is a thing that trees possess. So you do have to wait for them to no longer be in your path before you can jump into them. And I think this is a lesson that perhaps someone has taken to heart now. In the meantime, he has angered the Lorax, so he better hope that he doesn't stumble upon the Lorax while he is exploring this dungeon, because he's going to be pissed that these truffula trees are dead. Someone just has triangles flying everywhere here. There's an instinctive mashing that hypergun button. That's not a bad habit to have. Hypergun does give you a few moments of invincibility while you still deal damage to your enemies. So it's good to make use of that. And it recharges pretty quickly, so it's not a bad idea to just hit it on a whim. Muir slips and falls while trying to platform against some ledges. And it's going to have him take a pretty lengthy tumble down here. Unfortunately, he's going to have to go quite a bit of ways around in order to get back to where he was. But I think now he's starting to pick up on where he needs to be. Now he's also found the save point here. He's going to take a moment to top off his health. So like Spritz is going to fight. He's fighting his way through this room. There's a lot of robots in here. And I think he's realizing it's not worth his time. So Muir's kind of hoping these rooms are connected. Unfortunately, they are not. I don't think that you can get to the top route from this room. You do have to, in fact, go all the way around. Another heartbreak here for Muir as he fires his precious homing missiles and discovers that he's just backs off just a skosh too far, and they immediately forget where they are. We're taking a moment to evaluate the decisions that have led him to this point. Or possibly just topping off his drink. In the meantime, Spritz, Nighty, and someone fighting their way through the bunker. As stated before, this bunker is pretty big. There's a lot of different corners to explore here that will take our players in some pretty big circles. So it is incumbent on them to remember the path that they're taking around, because they are going to be backtracking quite a bit to search for the computers that will deactivate the force fields and then make their way back to the force fields. They are going to have to remember when they need which switch is activated in order to progress, because sometimes these doors, sometimes these red and green doors need to be opened in certain states if they want to advance. So the good news is Muir has saved his game, so he simply needs to do some platforming in his tank. And my personal opinion, I don't know how the players feel about it, but once you've gotten this hover upgrade and we see them making good use of it, platforming as the tank, it just completely transforms. Because it's speedy, you get a little burst of speed every time you hit that hover, so you want to use hover as much as possible. And it makes the platforming a lot better, because suddenly you can cut a lot of corners you could not do when you were simply driving. Nighty wisely moderating his use of the side hops when he's on these high platforms that he has a risk of falling off. And Spritz has taken quite a few hits here. Spritz's gun is down to only level 2. And it's sort of an issue that builds upon itself. When you have a low-level gun, it's difficult to kill enemies, and so you're more likely to take damage and to lose your gun again. It's really difficult to build up a high-level gun when you're starting off with a low-level gun. You just have to hope you find a room full of crates that you can blow up that just contain a bunch of gun upgrades for you to just pick up and take. Alright, Muir is making his way through again. He's taking care to watch his map and make sure he's going in the right direction that will take him where he wishes to be. Oh, this is not the way he wants to be. This is taking him back in the room with the robots. I think Muir's gotten a little bit mixed up here, and I think he realizes he's getting a little bit mixed up here. Oh, no, can't fly that high. So we see someone here is dealing with the security robots. There's a couple of rooms like this. We've got a little bit of a robot installation. It shoots out these red lasers, and the red lasers, unfortunately, you can't fight them, you can't destroy them, and if you get hit by those, it activates the enemies, and it summons a bunch of kamikaze bots. And nobody really is fond of kamikaze bots. It never works out for anybody. So it is a good decision to avoid those lasers by jumping or ducking under them as possible. Just to minimize the amount of annoying enemies that you have to deal with as you move along. Someone getting pretty good at navigating these rooms filled with the lasers and the spikes. And unfortunately, he encounters a force field here. We've got kind of a greenish-yellow force field, so he should keep that in his mind. When he encounters the enemy of the matching color, he absolutely would like to, or when he finds the force field generator of the matching color, he does want to make his way back there. Looks like Spritz has succumbed to repeatedly being shot by lasers. That is a thing that sometimes kills you in video games. And so he is going to return to the save point somewhere in the bunker, and he's going to make another show of it. Looks like Nighty has found one of the force field generators. It's a little bit difficult. He hasn't blown it up yet. He's going to blow it up. It looks like that's going to shoot the purple electricity. So hopefully he keeps his mind on the task at hand, and he tries to remember where has he seen a purple force field generator, or if he hasn't found one, to remember where has he not seen, where has he seen the other colors, so he knows not to go that way. So Nighty has found the blue force field. So you can keep that in the back of his mind so that later on he can make his way back when he finds what appears to be the right color force field generator. Much like the other Blaster Master titles, a lot of these rooms, it's a good idea for you to just avoid the enemies. You don't really stand to gain very much from fighting, especially if you're already topped off on your weapon. It's better to just not fight, not risk getting hit. So it looks like Spritz T has made his way back to Sophia the Third. He really would like to get in this tank because I think Spritz is picking up on the fact that if he could just drive his tank around this bunker, he'd probably kill these enemies a lot faster. But unfortunately, that isn't a thing. It is not, in fact, clear at all how the Sophia managed to get into this room, given the fact that the doorway is not actually big enough to permit it to fit through. That is just another one of the mysteries that you may have to consider as you think about the many questions that are raised by the Majestic game, which is Blaster Master blasting again for the PlayStation 1. So the good news is that Muir has found a tree, he's climbed up, and there is an item in here that he can use to get extra hover. I think he's trying to get to this doorway. And there we go. Nicely done. We're making it to that doorway in the corner, way up high. The only way you reach that is you do need to climb up that tree and hover from a higher point. But that's going to put him on course to make his way to that bunker that is lying in wait at the end of a lengthy passage. So Muir is being cautious. There's a few rooms here that if he is to fall in those rooms, it will send him to the waterfall room, which unfortunately just does not connect directly back the other way. It does make him take a very, very long detour in order to get back if he takes a fall. Luckily, this is just a room full of purple goo, so he doesn't feel so worried about it. He's going to top off a lot of his sub-weapons, including his beloved homing missiles. Those homing missiles have been Muir's go-to weapon throughout the game, and he has lovingly upgraded them all the way to a level 8 upgrade. See, Spritz here is dodging a full room of geometric shapes. We just see a bunch of yellow triangles flying at him. course, that is how you can tell the difference between somebody playing Blaster Master and Metroid. You know that they're playing Metroid if the lasers that get shot at them are circular, whereas you know you're playing Blaster Master if you get shot at by triangles. And if you are playing a game where the enemies shoot squares at you, you can know immediately that this is not a game you should be playing. It is absolutely unnatural for any weapon to fire a square-shaped projectile. So square-shaped projectiles are obviously a sign of a problem. It's like someone has navigated some portion of this dungeon and has decided to make his way back to the save point, and is going to lock in what progress he's made. Regretfully, the maps inside of these bunkers are not nearly as good as the maps are in the overworld. In the overworld, the game is generous enough to tell you that, hey, you found the bunker. You should make your way back here eventually. Whereas in these bunkers, they don't give you the generosity of, say, flagging when you have found a force field so that you know to make your way back to it. Alright, Nighty is playing a little bit more cautiously here with these laser securities. They can't be destroyed, but as long as you don't trip them, you should be fine. It's like Spritz has found one of the force field generators and has destroyed it. And it looks like Nighty has found another force field generator, and he is going to destroy that completely different one, or perhaps the same one. We'll find out in a moment. So it looks like Nighty has found the green force field generator, and Spritz has found a blue force field. The good news is Muir is very close here. He simply needs to fly vertically through this passage, and he is going to find his way to the bunker where our other three players have been exploring. He sees it. He knows that it's there. He's looking closely at it. Meanwhile, Nighty is playing very cautiously here with these laser defenses. He gets caught, but only as he's just exiting the room, so he is feeling pretty good about just making that final run for it. He sees there's a sort of a mustard yellow force field here. He's really unenthusiastic about this. He is debating for a moment whether he actually wants to keep exploring or if he wants to try to find a clip through this wall. It is entirely possible that he might just be able to clip through that, but it looks like he's not going to make that effort right now. Muir has charged up his hover gauge here. He's just making sure to give it another moment just in case there's like a more hover than normal hover gauge. And then he's going to fly his way up. He's going to grab that hover refill in midair, and then that's going to get him into that bunker. Wants to hit that hover just at the peak of his jump. There it is. He let go? Let go? I don't know. Hover should have lasted longer than that unless he picked up the hover in midair and lost it. It's possible that that midair hover has been lost. So when exploring another room here, see, there's just all these rooms in this last bunker that are full of trees. If only we had gotten more of this tree excitement in our earlier bunkers. Is that all the hover that Muir has? I think Muir might need to slip out of this room and slip back in to reset that hover. That's it. Once the bulb is flashing, that's maximum hover. I think Moore needs to leave and go back in. It looks like someone has made it to the end of the dungeon. Someone has found the final doorway, has saved his game, and he's going to be facing off against the boss. And in a surprise collaboration, our boss is going to be fighting Zubat from the Pokemon series of video games. Unfortunately, someone does not have any Pokeballs with him. He does not have his Kangaskhan with him to fight back. So he is instead going to be fighting with a grenade launcher instead. Like all of the Roddy bosses, this is 90% a challenge of don't get hit because you want to have your best weapon to deal more damage. And Nighty has found the green force field generator, so he's going to make his way on back. We see someone is facing off this boss, is generating a bunch of tornadoes. The boss does this weird thing where it kind of turns clear, and then it gets close, and then it's not clear if you can damage it or if you can't damage it. But someone's in pretty good shape. He's depleted a lot of this boss's life gauge. He's just got to wait for this boss to move somewhere, anywhere that he can hit it. He's still working on his level 3 gun, which means he's dealing okay damage so far. Moore's just taking a quick look around here to make sure he's not missing anything before he heads into this bunker. Fortunately, there is nothing else. There's just the bunker to explore. And it looks like a victory here for someone. Someone has defeated the giant bat monster. This is a Zubat defeated. And as a reward for defeating this boss, as he doesn't get a piece of equipment, instead, he will never have to fight another Zubat in another Pokemon game. That guarantees that all of the Zubats are gone. As a secondary and much lesser bonus, this will destroy the final part of the force field here in the central chamber of the above ground zone. Which means that at this point, someone 325 is now able to fight the final boss of the game. So someone is going to go ahead and save his game. If he hasn't done so, now is a great time to make sure that he's topped off his weaponry, particularly the thunder and the blaster. There's a save point for Muir, ensuring that he's not going to have to do that climb again. Someone has entered the central room here. Are you ready for it? Doesn't say what he's ready for, but someone nonetheless agrees that he is ready for it. And here we are, the final cutscene before the final boss. Well, the penultimate cutscene, because of course this game is going to have a final cutscene. And then it's just a pile of cubes. We're going to hover down for some reason. And here we're treated to the final boss, which is just this really ugly creature. And you might say to yourself, oh, that's not fair. Someone's using more hover in the cutscene than he can in the actual game. But it turns out that he is going to, in fact, be able to hover as much as they can. We'll see how long it takes the players to realize that during the final boss, they will, in fact, have infinite hover. And it looks like Nighty is the second of our players to make his way to the room before the boss. He's going to save his game, and I think he's feeling pretty confident that he knows that there is a boss awaiting him as soon as he steps on through this door. You're insane, says someone. Because apparently Kaiser just wants to marry his mom. This whole thing is about the awkwardness of you really don't want to be the stepson of a freaky mutant. So it's Nighty's turn to face off against Zubat. Unfortunately, this boss spends a lot of time just in the air where you can't hit him. So it is a game of dodging attacks until he gets down close, and then exploiting the crap out of any windows of opportunity he gives you to shoot him. Nighty exploiting the crap out of that opportunity, he deals a hefty amount of damage to that boss. And Muir has discovered his mom and the previous Sophia tank.
18 years ago, our fleet followed the plutonium boss here, reaching this blue-green planet. During combat, I lost sight of them all. And I lost all hope, abandoned here all alone. And that is when I met him, when I met Jason. He encouraged me to fight and fought alongside of me. And together, we were able to destroy the plutonium box. Afterward, I decided to stay with Jason. I forgot about the others. But one of them, Kaiser, he was alive. And now he is the commander of the Lightning Beam. And what is even more frightening, he has somehow incorporated the power of the plutonium boss. He obtained that power and appeared before me once again. There was a hint of such a future when he first got hold of one of the Sophias. Sophia's power changed him. It changed Kaiser into something evil.
Kaiser?
Kaiser?
Once a pilot for Sophia. Does Sophia's power corrupt the hearts of the people who encounter it?
Roddy, you are my son. You are
She hesitated
the
when
same
she said
blood
that.
as Kaiser. And if you continue to fight, you may commit a grievous crime. But you are Jason's son. Instead of matching strength with strength, I want you to win through a different strength, the strength of your conviction. I am confident you can do it, just like he did.
Father!
Father!
I'll never be able to live up to my father like this.
Go, Roddy. To save your sister. And to stop Kaiser's mad destruction.
All right, movie time is over. So at this point here, we see someone is fighting off the final boss of the game. He did lead off with his Thunder upgrade, but unfortunately this boss is very different from the other bosses in the game in that his hitboxes have a lot of verticality to them, and that you're not going to do anything unless you're hovering at the right height. Now the good news is the game is generous enough to give you unlimited hover juice while you're fighting this final boss. So you are able to exploit that and hover at wherever you please, or to use the hover to just dodge around a lot if you want to do that instead. But I think this first attempt against the boss for someone is probably going to end a little bit poorly, even though he's done pretty well. He's chipped down one of the boss's main life meters, and he's gotten rid of a lot of the boss's special parts. So Nighty has defeated the final Roddy boss and made his way back to the surface, and Nighty is about to watch the cutscene here prior to fighting the final boss. So this will be Nighty's first attempt at the Kaiser Plutonium boss, the ultimate final boss of Blaster Master Blasting again. Muware, in the meantime, has gotten the info dump. Sorry, spoilers for Blaster Master 1. For anybody who, number one, has not played Blaster Master, and number two, was unaware of the fact that Blaster Master 1 did in fact have a plot. So it looks like someone picking up a couple of items here, maybe topping off a little bit of energy before he once again announces that he's ready for it. We're ducking into this room again to see if maybe Sophia J, maybe Sophia 3 can save him. Spoiler, it can't. He attempts to destroy it to make sure it can't be used against him. Spoiler, it can't. So we see here a little bit of a different take from someone. He's kind of hovering here, and he's going to use blaster shots here. These blaster shots are pretty useful. They have a pretty wide hit box. They're kind of like a shotgun style weapon. Would not be a bad idea for Muware to duck outside real quick, hop into Sophia and refill, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do. Just jump into Sophia really quick, get a full health refill, and then he will be ready to fight his way through again. Someone sees this attack here where the boss generates these triangles. They look threatening, and in your mind you're thinking, man, I need to get rid of these triangles before they unleash a super attack. But I'm pretty sure the triangles are just meant to block your shots, and that it's really not a big deal if you just keep shooting at the enemy, and if they miss, then, oh, okay, they didn't do anything, and if you hit them, okay, you got rid of them. So we see some good progress here. Someone is dealing some good damage against the boss, although he hasn't damaged any of the boss's main life bars. He is going to need to destroy both of those life bars to win this fight. Unlike some of the earlier bosses where you destroy one of the main life bars and good enough. The game just declares victory. So it's another force field destroyed for Spritz. That might be the last of the force fields. He's been in this dungeon for a while, so I think he was probably pretty close to finishing up. So someone is almost out of blaster juice, is moving on to Thunder. You need to be really close to deal damage with Thunder. There we go. Look at those bars just melt. But you got to be close. Thunder doesn't work if you're far away. So Nighty is making his way under the boss. This boss is looking pretty pristine. There's a lot of life meters here that don't have any damage on them. Oh, here we go. He's activated his Thunder. He's got in close. And he saw some progress being made now. Muir's blowing these robots up. I'm not sure what Muir's strategy here is, unless he's kind of hoping to get a couple of gun upgrades. Gun upgrades, really, the only efficient way you're going to get them is by finding a warehouse room full of crates. The other thing is the boss, he's got a couple of hitboxes that are a little confusing. These great big ears. No, he's not Gizmo from the Gremlin series. Those are just sort of weird fins that he's got. Those are also things that to be destroyed, and you do actually have to aim a little bit left or right if you hope to damage them. This is a contest of trying to figure out where the boss's weak points are and then actually hitting them. Looks like someone's got the homing missiles. Has he attempted to use them yet? I haven't seen it. There was an attempt at a homing missile. It would be really awful if this final boss was completely immune to homing missiles. That could possibly break Muir's heart. So Nighty experimenting a little bit with how close is close enough to this boss. Because he's identified Thunder. Thunder is a good weapon for bosses. Alright, so getting inside of the boss's hitbox and taking damage continuously, Nighty has identified that that's not really a good way to handle this. But it is a matter of living and learning. Or at least learning. The living part is optional. It's like someone's going to take a moment to look for a couple more pickups here. The Alpha pickup's a nice one. The Alpha pickup will refill a little bit of all of your sub-weapons. So you just pick up a couple of those and that will get you more energy regardless of which of the weapons it is that you're interested in refilling. Which I think in the case of someone, it might be the Thunder upgrade. Which is the one that I would want to refill if it was me. And then, of course, once he gets those refills topped off, he definitely wants to find a save point. Just in case it takes him 2, 3, 4 more attempts to defeat this final boss. The good news is he is at the very end. So this is his opportunity to win. Muir is taking a lot of damage here. I'm not sure what Muir is doing, but it looks like he's fighting a lot more than he needs to. Or perhaps he's just struggling a little bit with these spike traps. They are a little bit difficult to get used to. Looks like Spritz has made his way to the end of the bunker. It is his turn to battle against Zubat, the deadliest of all Pokemon. And he's already down to a level 3 weapon. And like all of the bosses while you're fighting as Roddy, you really absolutely need to have the higher level weapons if you wish to fight the boss in a reasonable amount of time. We see Muir has found a room full of crates, and he is going to destroy every single one of those, looking for health pickups and looking for a couple of gun upgrades. He hasn't found any gun upgrades yet. There we go. He's got a gun upgrade. His gun is slightly better now. That room was a bit of a bust for gun upgrades for poor Muir. So it's another opportunity for someone to face off against the boss. Looks like he's going to use some homing missiles here. Or he's going to attempt to use some homing missiles. Is he dumb firing homing missiles? I think he is. I think you can't lock onto this boss with homing missiles. So he's just dumb firing them to hope to deal some damage. And I dare say it's kind of working. But yeah, homing missiles are really not very useful against this final boss, which is unfortunate. If push comes to shove and the players realize they have the wrong weapons to fight this final boss, they are able to go back to some of the earlier areas. In particular, Cavern 1 and Water 1 have a couple of weapon upgrades that you can pick up pretty easily, especially since those areas are designed around not having any of the movement upgrades. And that'll let you get a quick 3, 4, or 5 pips upgrades to any weapon that you choose, which that's more than enough energy for your blaster and your thunder weapons to be able to do decent damage against this boss. So someone's in about the position that works for me. Stay centered on the boss and just blast it. And while I've been talking, I can't believe that I missed this. Mighty Nighty, our racer extraordinaire, he has defeated the final boss. And he gets a dot done. Nighty has defeated the Plutonium Kaiser boss. And he explodes in a rather lengthy cutscene here, just to draw out your incredible victory. And so Roddy is going to have to activate his ultimate super weapon, the XL Blaster, which, if you are a fan of the Blaster Master Zero series, you might notice that's a weapon that was brought back for Blaster Master Zero. And also, if you watch the opening cinema for the game, you'll also recognize it because the opening cinema spoils the crap out of this cutscene by showing you Roddy firing his weapons. Muir has found one of the force field generators, and so that's going to unlock another room for him to explore. It looks like someone has progressed far enough that he's ready to use his thunder here. He's just going to get in this boss's face, and he's just going to thunder the crap out of him. Now, I think that the only things that someone has left is these claws on this boss are weak points he hasn't yet destroyed. And those are difficult to hit because you're not going to hit them if you're not aiming off to the left or to the right of the boss. Or finds a force field, but it's not the one he wants to destroy. Or not the one he has destroyed. This final boss is more challenging than the others because it is very tricky to figure out where you should actually be aiming. Because I want to say the two hit boxes that you're looking for, one of them is near the head and one of them is sort of at his waist. So it is a little bit difficult to hover at just the right height to make sure that you hit them. Although at least the boss is generous enough to have life bars so that you can see that you're making progress. Moore's found another cache of crates here, and he's going to blow up a few of those and get some upgrades. We see deaths here by someone and from Spritz. Someone taking a death against Kaiser Plutonium boss, and Spritz taking a death here against the giant Zubat. Eddie enjoying his well-deserved credit sequence here. Oh, Moore sees a gun upgrade and he is going to beeline for that. Moore's taking the time to blow up all of these installations just in the off chance that one or more of these is in fact a load-bearing pillar. Moore has cleared out this room, but unfortunately it's of no avail. The force field remains up, so he is going to in fact have to turn back and find a new path. Spritz T making another shot against this Zubat. I think Spritz's biggest issue is he's starting off this fight with less than a full weapon system. He probably would save some time if he looked at his map. He found a warehouse room, and he navigated back there to get 2 or 3 more pickups for his weapon. Because you really do rely on these Roddy bosses having a maxed out weapon going in. That just makes them so much faster. Alright, looks like someone is going to make another attempt here at the boss. And we're going to see what strategy he adopts this time. It looks like he's adopted a strategy of starting off with the blaster shots, and I'm kind of opposed to that. No, he's starting off with dumbfire homing missiles. I think really the strategy he wants to adopt is he wants to get the thunder, he wants to get right underneath the boss's nose, and he just wants to melt the boss. Because the quicker he destroys some of these body parts, the fewer of the boss's attacks he has to think about. Because he's really just not doing much damage at all with these homing missiles. Yeah, he's wasting electricity on the triangles, the little triangles that hover around him. They do not, in fact, deal any damage. And now Nutty is all caught up with the Blaster Master lore. He is ready to fully enjoy Blaster Master 0, 1, 2, and 3, now that he will understand each and every one of the references that game employs. We found another warehouse here, and he's going to take a moment to blow up these crates, hoping he picks up a couple more gun upgrades. His gun has been running on just about empty continuously through this dungeon. There's a level 2 gun upgrade. A little bit of health. There's another gun upgrade up to level 3. That's going to give him a little more firepower. But he's really hoping to hit level 4. Level 4 is when the gun really starts to pick up some speed. And Nighty is taking an opportunity to save his game that'll lock in his unlockable bonuses, including he will be allowed to replay the game using Sophia the Sophia the Third, the classic Blaster Master tank design. As he replays this game on hard, as he decides that this is going to be his new speed game of choice. Spritz making good progress on the boss. He's dealt quite a bit of damage, but he's in a bad spot now. His health is incredibly low. He's on a level 1 weapon system. He's really just hoping for this boss to swoop down into one of the many grenades that he is dropping. Like this is a Bomberman game. And congratulations to Nighty for having successfully finished today's race. Congratulations, Nighty, on your victory. And I expect we'll see more of Nighty come next week when we play some Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. So someone is making some progress here against the boss. He's busy destroying his goofy-looking ears. He's taken a bit of damage. He's dealt a bit of damage, but the boss still has no damage on his main bars. I think maybe I can see a sliver of damage on one of those bars, but that's not going to be enough to make a big difference here. As we saw from Nighty, a good strategy for many of the bosses in this game is to max out your Thunder Weapon, get right up into the boss's face, and melt them. Someone's looking carefully to try to find these weak points. Looks like he's identified these claws are weak points. See, he's using his thunder to take out the diamonds. Those diamonds, they don't do anything. I'm pretty sure the diamond exists exclusively for blocking your attacks. Someone's at least identified that he does need to move forward and back to avoid many of the enemy's attacks. Works out in his favor. Ooh, he's almost got one of these life bars down. Ooh, he takes a Kamehameha directly to the nose of his tank. These homing stars are the worst attack, and it looks like someone identifies that as soon as that comes out, abandon everything else and just move. Someone gets out his thunder, but it's not a very useful application of it. He pretty much wasted it there. There's not a whole lot left on this boss. He's just down to a couple of parts, but unfortunately, they're still dealing some nasty attacks that he's having some trouble to avoid, and his health is dwindling. Spritz is not having a very good attempt at this boss on this try. He's already down to his basic weapon, and the boss has just a chip on his life meter. Even if Spritz manages to win, this is going to just be an incredibly time-consuming fight. Someone wasn't entirely certain what was going on there, so he dodged out of the way. Someone's health is on the brink here. So we got homing stars. Alright, he's going to dodge the homing stars. We got green triangles. Someone has made it through one of the boss's life bars, but unfortunately there's still one more left. He dodges nicely there. He's just letting those triangles wear out, which is exactly what you want to do. He's down to the boss's last actual life bar here. So he's now making that final tangible progress here against this boss. I said Spritz was going to be doing miserably here, but in the time that I've been watching someone, Spritz has been doing some magnificent work here against the boss. He's whittled a very big chunk of the bar. That's probably half of the boss's life bar. And, oh, it looks like someone may have claimed a victory here. No, the boss has just used some kind of a weird super attack. Someone's dodging a number of attacks here. They get the victory. He's so close. There's just barely anything left here. Boss shoots out a... Oh no! Someone at the last possible minute, he catches that flamethrower. It is the nature of flamethrowers to catch you just a little bit out of the corner of them and set you on fire. And so that is going to be another death here for someone, but that fight went so closely. Hopefully some knowledge was gained there that perhaps the next fight will go even better for him. Muir, it looks like Muir has explored a pretty big chunk of this facility at this point. So now it is a test of his memory. Does he remember where there were force fields that he was unable to explore? Because the mini-map in these fortresses is really not that helpful. It does not mark elevators for you. It does not mark force fields for you. It doesn't mark force field generators for you. So it is entirely incumbent on the player to remember what it is that they found and where. Spritz. Spritz is dodging this flamethrower while dropping bombs. Oh, Spritz takes a hit, and unfortunately that is going to kill him. So Spritz is going to have to make another attempt here against the boss. Muir is in a similar position, a much worse position even, I would say, in that Muir has been sitting on a level 1 weapon for this entire fight. Through this facility, and that he's been unable to get anything higher than a level 3. And if he faces off against this boss with a level 1 weapon, it's going to be miserably slow to fight. We see some experimentation here from someone getting right up to the boss, and he's just dumbfiring homing missiles into it. But it's really just not doing much of anything, it seems. He would have been better off just sitting back and firing his basic weapon. And he takes a death. I feel like that's sort of a death of despair there. That someone was just going to go ahead and eat as much damage as he could and just get it over with and start that fight over. He's got the weapons he needs. He's got a full complement of thunder, and he's got the blaster. He really does just need to get in the boss's face and just thunder. And the only trick there is making sure that you're at the right height to get the most out of that thunder. Looks like Spritz has been holding on to that level 4 weapon for a bit. That's going to help him out. This flamethrower phase is a good opportunity to deal some damage. The boss is down by the ground, and you can get hits on him, but it is a double-edged sword. There is no strafe movement in this game insofar that you can aim at the boss and dodge at the same time, and you're usually dodging in exactly the opposite direction that you wish to be firing. You can get lucky enough to get the boss to sit on one of your explosions. That's a good opportunity to deal some hefty damage. We're just getting in the middle here. He's firing off his hyper gun. He really wants some gun upgrades here. And these robots are being really stingy with them. We're also taking a ton of damage here. Someone is getting out his blaster. He's hovering over the boss and he's shooting him in his little Mowgli ears, his little gizmo ears. I think we do have a big advantage for someone. Never mind. I was going to say that he realized he can just ignore the triangles, but I think he's too weirded out by those things. It's like having a little bit of a lizard living in your living room that you could think to yourself, man, this guy's a little harmless, but man, you want to get him out of there. He feels the same way about those triangles. So someone dealing some good damage here. He's got a couple of the boss's life bars whittled down. And the more of those life bars he's whittled down, the fewer attacks that the boss will be doing so that he can focus on just fighting. I'm just incredibly upset by him using his thunder, wasting it on triangles. This is breaking my heart to watch. But we're blasting some crates in here. He finds a health pickup, but he does not seem to be finding any gun upgrades. He's really looking for a couple of gun upgrades here because he's dealing with a level 1 blaster, and nobody wants a level 1 blaster. To be a master of your blaster, which is what the game title suggests, you really do need a higher gun than just level 1. Spritz has got the boss on the ropes. There's just a sliver of health left here. Is Spritz going to be able to just get one more hit against this boss and make the fight stop? Someone taking evasive maneuvers. These homing stars are the nastiest boss of the nastiest attack from the boss because they are the trickiest one to dodge because they try to predict your motion. And you really just want to land and you need to zip along with a boost to get out of the way. This boss has been on a sliver of health for about 15 minutes here for Spritz. He's just got to finish this. Just one grenade in the right spot to finish it. Where is it? Is the boss invincible? Is the boss vulnerable? What does it mean when it transforms? Nobody knows. Everybody just has to guess. Cross your fingers and just hope that somehow it finishes. Oh, here it goes. It's diving. Where is the hitbox? Does the hitbox even exist? We don't know. Nobody knows. Spritz doesn't know. And that's it. That looks like that's the victory for Spritz. That life bar has disappeared. The boss has started to glitch out. That's a good sign that it is over. As a certain troll in a Super Nintendo game once said. Seems like someone is just fond of using the thunder as a diamond eliminator. He's almost got one of the boss's main health bars whittled down. Once again, I think that hitbox is about at the boss's waist, which is it's a confusing place to put the hitbox because it doesn't look like a vulnerable spot. Years of video games have trained us to an exacting degree of detail that you always shoot the boss in the eyeball. Eyeballs are the weak points of everything. So Spritz is going to save his game. He's going to lock in his progress. And now he is ready to face off against the final of bosses. So we're going to see how that goes for him. Someone is struggling a little bit here still to find the hitbox for that one life meter that he's trying to drain. And it's a little bit tricky trying to balance dodging with trying to hit that very precise shot. Muir is dangerously close. Oh, someone sees the boss is charging up some kind of a super attack. There's a massive explosion of light. Shoots flames everywhere, but someone is hovering. So nothing happens. And it looks like that could be it. He stopped moving. That's it. There's explosions. He's shooting goo everywhere. I think that is someone wrapping up the boss. I think we might see that second Dot Dunaruski here in just a second. And there it is. There is the second Dot done in today's race. Congratulations to someone, Pt.5, for having successfully completed the challenging game of Blaster Master Blasting Again. Hopefully he takes an opportunity here to evaluate his life choices for signing up to any of the races that I've selected. And then he picks this as his new speed game as he plays through it on hard mode and gets on the leaderboards. So congratulations to both our players. So that is Nighty finishing with an SRL time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 13 seconds. And over 20 minutes later, we've got someone, Pt.5, finishing with a time of 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 30 seconds. Congratulations to both of our players for a well-fought victory. And Muir taken a death. That's unfortunate. This is a pretty long and convoluted facility. You do have to keep close tabs on where you're going, or you will take a lot of damage from enemies. And it is a good strategy to just avoid fighting as much as you can. Virtually never do you gain a benefit from fighting a battle if you do not have to. Let's go ahead and get switched over here. Let's switch over to our two-player setup. If I push the button correctly. It almost would not be a terrible thing for Muir to take a moment and jot down a couple of notes, maybe take a screenshot of the map and then jot down some notes on where the actual objects are in that map. So Spritz is adopting the get into the boss's face with thunder strategy. Spritz has got a lot of force field here. Force field is not a terrible choice. It does give you some immunity to some boss attacks. So the big thing here is that Spritz has got to get higher. You got to hover up there, buddy. There, he sees it. Now he sees some damage being done. Spritz is just now fighting the boss for the first time, so I don't think he's picked up yet that he does, in fact, enjoy unlimited hover during this final boss fight. So there's absolutely nothing stopping you from simply getting into the boss's face and just hovering there indefinitely. Muir sees a locked door here. I think he's drawn the conclusion that this door is locked by the enemies. It is not. In fact, it is locked by the red floor panels. I don't believe any of the rooms in this final dungeon are locked by enemies. Spritz is taking a moment here maybe to pick something up. Nope, he's just making a beeline. He's going to fight this boss again. He's done his dues. He's watched the cutscene. He can just head on through again. We're fighting through these enemies. Thankfully, he's got a mini-map that's going to show him where those enemies are positioned so he doesn't have to guess. His hyper gun is active. He could use that any time. I think that was an inadvertent stepping out of the room. He's just gonna explore somewhere else. Maybe hit back to a save point. Spritz is a little bit too far away. You really do want to be as close to the boss as possible when you use this so that you maximize the damage you're doing. This is beautiful. This is what true warriors strive for. To get into your boss's face, to hit them with thunder, and to make them screech. With agony as their life bars dwindle to nothing. So the good news is Spritz has done quite a bit of damage. The bad news is he's not quite certain yet where the boss's weaknesses are. You really want to shoot him in the head. That's where your instincts are telling you to aim, but that head is just no value. He needs to hit his little skirt. That big metal panel on his skirt is a good weak point to exploit. See, Spritz is running out of things to damage. There's not a whole lot of life bars left here. And suddenly he sees that the boss is taking damage. He's found some weak point, so he's just going to keep blasting because that seems to be working. There we go. There's oh, nope. Spritz taking a death, but that was an excellent performance there. And I think that he's feeling pretty good about starting to understand where the boss's hit points are. A good strategy for a lot of these bosses is go in with a lot of offense, hit them incredibly hard, and that will finish them off. Muir's still trying to find the last of the force field generators in this fortress. Once he manages to identify those, he will be able to fight off against the boss. Although it's going to be a pretty rough fight for him if he can't find where to get a couple of gun upgrades. In fact, it might almost, and I say almost because it's not a sure thing, it might almost be worth his time to head back out into the overworld, find a couple of the Roddy boss rooms, and just grab the free upgrades that were sitting there. Now, these are our last two players in today's race of Blaster Master blasting again. Once these players are done, this will unfortunately be the last Blaster Master blasting again race we are likely to see here on the Mystery Funhouse channel. Hopefully you folks have enjoyed it, but whether or not you have, if you've enjoyed it, we've got more exciting races coming up, and if you did not enjoy it, well, then we've got something completely different for you coming up later in the week. We have on Tuesday, we are going to be playing another game that is a mystery game. We'll be revealing that at the end of today's broadcast. That will be a short race that we will be playing on Tuesday, October the 12th. That's 2 days from now. That'll be late in the evening. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern, much later than we normally do. And that's been by popular demand from some of our West Coast players who have found it difficult to participate in the races earlier in the evening on weekdays, since so many people hold regular jobs. That'll be a short race. That'll only be a 30 to 60 minute goal, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of players even shave that 30 minutes by a bit. So keep an eye out for that exciting race of an unusual game that we will be playing on Tuesday, 2 days from now. And starting next week, that'll be on Sunday, October 17th, we will be playing our next segmented blind race. We will be playing The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons for the Game Boy Color. And that'll be the linked race that we talked about before after our players completed The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. Our players will be playing through the entirety of Oracle of Seasons over 5 goals, and that'll be a lot of fun for everybody. I think there'll be a lot of cross gameplay excitement going on there as our players jump between Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons to enter some secret passwords. We've got a victory here. Spritz T has defeated the final boss and clocked in with a final SRL time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 18 seconds. Very well done by Spritz T, who is rejoining us after having missed last week's race. So we will be back next week with our last segmented blind race for the year. It'll be The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. If you're interested in joining in, all you've got to do is take some time next week to play through The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. Simply play through the game until you get a credit roll, and you are ready and waiting to play Oracle of Seasons. Looks like Muir has found his last force field generator, or perhaps his second to last. This will unlock another force field. If he's lucky, he might get a couple of gun upgrades. Oh, here's a gun upgrade. He's definitely looking forward to that. Maybe hoping that he'll find another one here. Yeah, definitely. If you are able to, join us for The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons next week, Sunday at 2 p.m. It'll be a good time to be had by all. And absolutely sign up for the Mystery Tournament 16. Once again, there is no requirement to submit games if you are a new participant in the Mystery Tournament. So if you're a newbie, we want you to be participating. It's the easiest tournament to join. Because the games are all random. We'll be supplying the games to you. We will be teaching you how to play them. You only need to show up ready to play against an opponent. That's all it takes. It's going to be restreamed here on the Mystery Funhouse channel, and as I mentioned earlier, we got a teaser of the new Mystery Tournament setup. It's going to be pretty slick. I hope you folks are ready. It's going to be some fun introductions. It's going to have a fun layout. I think that you guys are going to be excited to see that when Mystery Tournament starts up. And you'll want to be one of those players in there who's going to be shown off So absolutely make sure you get signed up for Mystery Tournament 16. That is, signups are over on November 12th, so you've got just about 1 month to sign up. Make sure you do that. Make sure you get in on the action so that you can play all those great games that are being submitted. Mystery Tournament will start on December 1st, and that will be when races begin. Muir is confronted by another force field here that wasn't what he was hoping. He will need to move a different direction to see if he can find where that other force field was located. Unfortunately, he's already destroyed this force field generator. There's nothing there waiting for him. No choice here but to backtrack and look for one of the other force fields that he has not yet checked. Muir continues to navigate, searching for that last room. Where could it be? It's one of the rooms here. I think it's one of those rooms in the top left that he needs to go back to. That may be where Muir is going to find that. Unfortunately, he can't just go whichever way he wants. He does need to go through the rooms that are marked with the red or the green passages. He does have to have them unlocked. And there it is. There is the end for Spritz T. Enjoying his well-deserved peace, having saved the world from the lightning beings. We're racing through these rooms. I think he's identified where he wants to be. He's just got to navigate to it. might be... Where's Muir going? I was almost wondering if he was going to step through and recharge at the tank. Muir is moving rapidly with purpose. But does he know where he's going? He's going to the save point. This is a very smart place to be. He did hit another one of the force field generators, so he is locking in some progress here, as well as topping off his health. We see Spritz T here loading up another round of the game. Had so much fun. He is going to be playing as Sophia the Third here. We can see he gets this cute little model of Sophia that looks like the classic Blaster Master tank. You realize you can't really see that much of it. Spritz trying to turn it around because he wants to get a good look at the front, but that's not going to happen until he hits a cutscene. And it looks like that has exhausted the entirety of the novelty of the game for Spritz here. So congratulations to Spritz for having completed this game. A fairly challenging game. And is going to be all set and ready to participate in a fresh new race coming up in the coming weeks. Alright, Muir has made his way all the way to this top left corner of the facility. He's got a couple of rooms here that's got these spike traps and these lasers. This room is constructed a little bit oddly that you have to move through it. You have to pass through the spike traps and the lasers every time you want to get to one of these doors. So one of these will contain the generator that he's looking for. Here it is, and a pile of crates, which Muir will happily destroy. He's crossing his fingers. He really would like a couple more gun pickups here. But all he's found so far is health. Because Muir, I think, is aware of the fact that he's about to fight a Roddy boss, and he's going to want a lot more gun before he does that. He only gets one gun pickup. Very much not what he wants. Nicely done here. Muir making some nice footwork here as he dodges through this room without hitting any of the spike traps or the lasers. Well, I say that just a little bit too soon. He gets a spike trap, but he doesn't lose his gun. I think he's taking a moment to try to remember what was in the other direction. Going to pass through this room one more time just to make sure that there wasn't a gun upgrade in the next room. He takes a couple of spike traps. Unfortunately, this has put him back at a level 1 gun yet again. This is the greatest challenge of Blaster Master games, is maintaining your weapon. It's just a force field generator. He's already broken. So he'll need to make his way back through. He has recently seen the blue force field, so he should hopefully be able to find that pretty quickly. It was a bit of a tactical misdecision here for Muir, but he makes it through the room without taking any further damage. So he is making his way back to the save room, and from the save room he can make his way back to the upper level where the force field remains that he could not pass previously. We're once again locking in his progress at the save point as he makes his way forward to the final of the barriers, which will lead him to the boss room. Should be only 2 more save games left here. Moore needs to make his way back to the elevator. Once he finds that force field, he'll find the boss room. He can save his game there, and hopefully after he has defeated the giant Zubat that threatens all life on Earth, he will be able to save his game one final time on the surface, and we will have a Sophia battle with the final boss. Moment of hesitation here as Moore tries to remember which color he needs. This is absolutely a dungeon that tests your memory. This is a basic game playing skill. A lot of modern games are kind of generous in that they give you mini maps and that they have 5,000 icons to remind you that this is a red door, this is a green door. Here's a breakable block, here's a force field generator, here's a save point. This game straddles a line where it's not so old school that you don't get any map at all, but the map you get is very Zelda 1 in quality, in that it's just, here are rooms and here are doors, and it's only really useful for finding rooms that you haven't explored yet. And particularly this one's a little bit cruel in that a few of those doors even go so far as to let you step through the threshold before you get stopped. So you get into an awkward situation where the room is marked on your map even though you didn't ever get to explore anything more than the threshold of the door. Alright, so Muir is in the central room here. He's been every direction. One of these leads to an elevator. Does he remember which one it was? He turned into a direction. He felt confident about it. Or did he feel confident about it? Nope, he's going through the red door. The red door he feels confident about. Is this the way he needs to go? This is looking good. I think that we saw him take this elevator a moment ago. He checks his map. Yeah, this is looking right. Alright, he's in a new room. He's a little bit worried here. He steps in, there's a lot of spooky trees, but he isn't encountering any enemies. He'd really like to destroy one of these trees. His hatred for nature has risen tenfold as a result of exploring this dungeon. And I think we're going to find a save point here. The good news is we've got a save point. The bad news is Muir is sitting on a level 1 gun. This is a very not ideal situation to be in. With a level 1 gun, he is not going to be able to deal a lot of damage to this boss. He's going to be relying pretty heavily on his hyper gun and his grenades that he can drop, as opposed to enjoying a level 5 grenade launcher or the legendary level 6 flamethrower that dispenses death through a nozzle in a concentrated form. Although one advantage for Muir is that because he can't lose any weapons, he has nothing to fear from just being aggressive on the boss, getting in its face and just dropping grenades when it gets close. So here it is. He gets in close. He's going to use his hyper gun, and he's going to chip off a little bit of health. We're just getting started here in this fight. We're a little bit slow on the draw there. Some of these sound effects that these weapons use are absolutely inappropriate for them. The sound of breaking glass for large energy orbs falling is very out of place. We're using the hyper gun where he can. Oop, he drops a grenade, but it's not in the right spot. Ooh, that was a nice grenade there. The boss moves around a lot, so it's sort of a challenge of figuring out where does the boss like to sit, how can you predict it, and then how can you make sure that there's a fiery explosion under its feet when that happens. Oh, that's the opportunity. Look at that. That chipped a big chunk of that life bar off. Couple more shots like that during when the boss is resting for those tornadoes, and that could allow Muir to have a victory here. This is his final battle with Roddy, so as soon as he manages to get through this, he just does not have to care at all about the state of Roddy's gut anymore for the game. Muir is using this hyper gun, but I'm feeling like he really doesn't. I feel like he really wants to use grenades instead. Like right there, look at that grenade. That grenade just dealt so much damage. After playing through Blaster Master Blasting again, and then playing Blaster Master 03, I really had a hankering for some classic Blaster Master, and so I was watching a couple of the speedruns of that game. Some of the races that they did at some of the Games Done Quick events. And just enjoying how in those they don't even bother to upgrade Roddy's blaster. Or, well, that's Jason's blaster in that game. They just use level 1 and they just get in the boss's face and chuck grenades until it stops moving. Another nice grenade there. So the good news is Muir's doing very well on this first attempt here. He's dealt about half of the boss's damage. So I'm feeling pretty confident that on a subsequent attempt, once he gets a better feel for when the boss's weakness points are, that he's able to just get in there and deal some damage, and hopefully he will be able to finish this in 1 or 2 attempts. Shattering energy orbs, crashing to the ground. Oh, here it is. Opportunity. Muir seizes it with a quick hyper gun to try to catch the boss as he's zipping through. Nicely done there. Hits another grenade, and suddenly the boss is starting to get freaky here. Is it dying? Is it getting more powerful? Is it more dangerous? We don't know. Muir is having a little bit of difficulty figuring out where the boss is, and I can agree this is a really unfortunate camera angle for such a large arena. This is a good opportunity for Muwer to get a couple more shots off. When the boss starts throwing these tornadoes, he's really vulnerable. And I think Muwer's doing a good job of recognizing and capitalizing on that moment. Yeah, I think my favorite part of this boss fight is if you die, that the platform just like disappears or it zips through the ceiling because immediately it stops updating. Back to the lasers. So it's an unfortunate death here from Muwer, but I think he's got a good feel for what he's doing. I think he's got a good feel for what to do in this fight. He's recognized the boss's weak points. Muwer might be trying to go look for some weapons. It's a bit of a walk. Yeah, I think Muwer is just going to accept that it's grenade time. He was doing pretty good damage with those grenades. Thankfully, this is a boss that has a habit of just kind of hovering in one spot for several of his attacks. So as long as you can get into those spots, recognize when it's coming, and drop a grenade or two there, you can get a pretty big chunk of damage. This is also a test of your depth perception. Because this is at such a low angle, it's really tricky to recognize where you are relative to the boss. And it might be in my imagination, but I don't feel like the hypergun is really doing much damage. It's nice because when you use hypergun, you're invincible, but I feel like you're really not doing much damage against the stationary boss with it as you are when you use it in a big group, a big room full of enemies. But because you're invincible with it, it's kind of a free hit. Any damage you do is pretty free. There we go. We got a nice hit there. So do it again. Drop some grenades. Alright, what's he going to do next? Is he going back to the lasers? He's going back to the lasers. Ooh, that one worked pretty well. Got right up in his face. was a nice grenade shot there by Muir. Alright, it's flamethrower time. This is the part, I think, that makes the biggest difference. If you can figure out where this boss is moving and drop a grenade, I feel like you can get a lot of damage during this phase. Yeah, I think Muir's doing pretty good here. This is some good damage he's managing to pull off. And thankfully your grenades are unlimited. You can just keep on dropping them as much as you want. Ooh, nice shot there. So we move on to the next phase, and we've got this little music trigger here. Might not have noticed. We get some instrumentals in the back. Get your blood pumping as you're ready for this exciting second phase of this fight. Which is exactly the same as the first phase, but with more lag. Something blew up there. We're playing the defensive game here, trying to avoid getting hit. A little bit slow there. Ooh, he gets hit by one of the sonic booms. We're not entirely certain what he's doing, but the explosions from the boss are reassuring him that he's doing the right thing. Big chunks of life meter are disappearing. Oh, he's going to go for a hyper gun. I don't think that did anything. But at least it didn't hurt. Ooh, nice grenade there. Oh, this is the phase! This is the phase! And there we go, Muir getting the kill. That beautifully placed grenade. He finds that weak point right there during that tornado phase. Oh wait, it's still alive. Oh, it's still got something up its sleeve. What's it going to do? It's not over. He still needs one more grenade. Has he picked up the pattern yet? Coming in. Hit it, hit it. Get over to the right, Mo. Alright, it's grenade time. He drops it. There we go. There's the life bar gone. Nicely done. 2 attempts. Muir is going to clear the penultimate boss. And now it's going to be his opportunity to face off against the final boss, Plutonium Kaiser. That's going to trigger the final force field to shatter. And with that, he is going to be warped back to the surface. One more opportunity to reinforce himself with this lovely remix of the original Blaster Master Level 1 theme. I had a discussion the other day about Sunsoft, and that Sunsoft is absolutely a master of this scheme where they come up with a brilliant theme for the first level of their game, and they just suck you right in. Blaster Master having this lovely theme for the first level. We also see that in Journey to Silius has it. What else was I thinking? Sunsoft games. There was one more. What was I thinking of? A couple of good Sunsoft games with good level 1 themes. Batman for the NES. That's what I was thinking of. Batman for the NES is another one with an absolutely banging theme for its chapter, or for level 1. That they absolutely picked that up for both Blaster Master and Journey to Silius. They knew that level 1 theme was so good that they just reused it for the last level too, just to reinforce that. All right, Mooers, ask the question. Are you ready for it? And he says yes. He saved his game. So we've got one more cutscene here as we learn about Plutonium Kaiser and his evil plot to rule the world. And then we get to the good part, where you just shoot things until they die. So we've got one more cutscene here. Unfortunately, Muir has not learned his lesson. After the Chapter 3 boss, he should realize that nobody can trust cubes. Cubes are entirely untrustworthy structures, and he is punished for his lack of foresight by falling into this room with this extremely squishy-looking final boss. Even though we are deep underground, I think this qualifies as a space god. So hopefully we'll learn from that. Grumpmeister raiding with a party of 3. Welcome, Grumpmeister. We are just about to fight the final boss of Blaster Master Blasting Again for the PlayStation. 3 of our racers have finished, but we still have Muir here, is just now facing off against the final boss of the game. But first we get this beautiful voice acting.
Why don't you know, Eve? Our planet died because it lacked strength.
Kaiser.
Sophia is strength. There is no difference. I will protect order with a more powerful strength. What is wrong with that, Eve?
You're insane.
How can you say such a thing? Kaiser! Do you plan to become the second plutonium boss?
I wonder what this voice actor for Eve was going for.
A god instead.
Was she going for alien who's not familiar with the English language?
Cross me shall suffer the punishment of a god.
Silence. You. I will destroy you.
You silly little fool. You think you can defeat me with Sophia?
So just after giving us a lecture that Sophia is power, there is no difference, he expresses surprise and confusion that you would think you could use Sophia to defeat him. But nonetheless, we have Muir moving in to the great final battle here. So we do have an unfortunate little thing here for Muir, which is Muir has been very pleased with his homing missiles throughout this game. And I think he's coming to the unfortunate realization that this boss does not work. You can't lock onto this boss with homing missiles. which is incredibly regretful because Muir has been prioritizing homing missiles through the entirety of the game. And unfortunately, the final boss just doesn't accept it. Now, the good news is his blaster is doing some nice damage here. 2 shots from his blaster have chunked off a couple of these life bars here. For folks who might not have been here for some of our earlier races, we have been playing this for 5 weeks now. It feels like it's been forever, but it has only been 5 weeks. We are playing these as segmented races. We are breaking the game into parts, and we are playing through them in those independent parts. In those previous segments of the race, our players were confronted by a number of boss enemies who had multiple life bars here. The 2 flashing life bars are the important ones. Those are the ones that the player does need to destroy if they wish to actually deal any damage to this boss. However, these other life bars are going to disable some of his other parts. So Muir was doing some good damage here, but then he can't see any life bars changing. And the realization is, unlike every other boss in the game that they've fought, this boss is very vertical. He's got a lot of hitboxes that simply don't extend down to the bottom. And so if Muir wants to do any damage, he is going to need to hover up, and he's going to need to hit this boss in his torso. And unfortunately, homing missiles simply aren't going to work, which is doubly regretful on account of the fact that if you could aim at this boss with homing missiles, it would make the end so much easier because you'd actually be able to see what you're targeting. I'm almost tempted to say the developers made homing missiles useless here precisely because it would make it too easy to realize where they put that hitbox. We also see Muir falling for the same trick as the other players have been falling for. The attack where the boss generates these diamonds. The purpose of the diamonds is exclusively to distract your shots. I don't believe that the diamonds actually deal any damage to you. They don't do anything useful. The diamonds can be ignored. If you aim and you miss them, well, who cares? And if you aim and you hit them, okay, well, they're gone away anyway. So Muir here is being inducted into the Church of Thunder is the best weapon in the game. He's just saw now that getting in that boss's face and hitting it with the thunder has melted several of its life bars. But the challenge here is figuring out where on Earth is the boss's hitbox. I think it's got 2 different hitboxes you're aiming for. They're both near the center of the boss. He wants to aim for that face that's roughly where the creature's crotch should be. You can see that gray sort of face that's at the top of his skirt. And then I think there's also a weak point that's sort of at his waist, so just above that face. Sort of underneath his torso. It's very difficult to find it. You want to listen very carefully to the sound that your shots are making, because that's your sign that you're hitting something, anything, that you're actually making progress in this fight. Unfortunately, Muir is desperately trying to find something he can lock onto with his homing missiles, but this final boss simply says no to homing missiles. So Muir has taken his first death on the boss, but I think he felt like he did pretty good there. He got a lot of those life bars gone pretty early on in the fight. So I think he's feeling pretty good now that even though he can't use his beloved homing missiles on the final boss, he still has a couple of weapons in his arsenal that he can take advantage of, including his thunder, which I think he's the only one of the players who didn't identify in this final goal that they wanted to max out that thunder as quickly as possible. I think all of our other players immediately maxed out their thunder storage the moment that they got to this fifth goal. Despite the stream title, this is in fact the 5th and the final of the goals for today for this race. So while Muware makes his way back into the boss fight, we did a couple of announcements here. This is the only race for today. We will have another game coming up on Tuesday. That's Tuesday. That's October the 12th. We're going to be facing off in a little race at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that game is going to be Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land for the Nintendo DS. It's a game some of you probably heard of, but you've probably never played. It's sort of an adventure game, and our players are going to be racing to collect money and not lose it. So that's going to be a short goal. That's only going to be 30 to 60 minutes. If you're interested in participating, you merely need to be available in our Discord on Tuesday around 9 p.m. Eastern. That's much later than we usually play games, so it's a shorter goal to make up for that. So everybody should show up for that. That is a strange and amusing game that I think everybody will have fun with. And then coming next Sunday, since we finished Blaster Master Blasting again, we're going to be playing another Legend of Zelda game. On Sunday, October 17th, we're going to be playing The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons for the Game Boy Color. That's going to be a linked race. Our players are going to be using their save files from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, and they're going to be playing through the game and unlocking the secret final ending that you only get by playing through both games consecutively. So here is Muware facing off against Plutonium Kaiser again. Seeing the majesty of this thunder, you can see his reach on his thunder is a little bit less than it was for the other players. The more you upgrade a sub-weapon, the more of these pickups you get, the better it is. But Muware's is no slouch. He has decimated, well, not decimated, he has annihilated most of the boss's life bars. So I think Muware might have this idea in his head that if he lets those triangles get too small, they'll do something bad. They will not. They simply disappear. I say it's not decimated because I have to correct myself every time. In modern English, we have a bad habit of saying decimated means you annihilated something, you got rid of all of it, but in actual language, decimated simply means you've reduced it by 10%, which Muware has done much better than that. So Muware has removed another one of the boss's life bars, but now the challenge is figuring out where is the boss's remaining weak point. So Muware's made good progress. He's gotten rid of one of the boss's life bars, but he's got to keep shooting until he finds the other weak point. Oh, he found something. Looks like it's right under his chin. So the good news is I think Muware has narrowed down what he needs to hit here, and he's making very good progress on this boss. So I think he's feeling confident that he can do this now. He's worked out the secret. He understands now where he's aiming, what he's aiming for. He's got the ammo. He's got the firepower. I think this could be the last attempt that Muware needs, and he will claim victory in today's race. Remember, there are no losers in Mystery Funhouse races. We only have winners. The prize being, of course, the opportunity to play yet another exciting game. We talked about Tuesday we'll be playing Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, so make sure to join us Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. EST. Next Sunday will be The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. If you'd like to participate, you do need to play through The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. If you knock that out during the week, you should be able to join us on Sunday and participate in that race. And we'll provide everything you need to know to participate in a linked game race of Oracle of Seasons. And of course, the most important thing coming up in December 1st is Mystery Tournament 16. Races for Mystery Tournament 16 start on December 1st. You have until December 12th to sign up. Absolutely make sure that you sign up for that. If you've never participated in a mystery tournament before, we have waived the requirement to submit games for new players. So we have made it easier than ever for you to participate. Make sure that you join us for Mystery Tournament 16. So Muir is starting off this fight again. He's got his Thunder out. He's using it. He's identified he's got unlimited hover here, so he is making wonderful use of it. He's hovering the crap out of here. That giant yellow beam that in fact just goes straight vertically, so you do have to actually move forward or back to dodge it. Nice dodge there by Muir. He's making good use of his side hops. Alright, he's down to the last life bar. He knows where it is. It's at the boss's chin. He just needs to get into position and he needs to hit it. Nicely done. Muir's found the right spot for it. He's just gotta get those shots in. Nope. I don't think he's doing any damage here. He's hitting something, but he really needs to be hovering up and punching that boss in the chin. Or does he? I don't know. Nope, he's back down to his basic weapons. He's really hoping that he could use a homing missile on something during this fight, but it's just not happening. To quote Dragon Warrior, it is a miss, no damage hath been scored. Muir, you gotta hover up. The only way you're gonna deal any damage. There it is. I think maybe he spots it now. And there is a death for Muir. He's got the first part of this fight pretty well down. Using that thunder to start off with to soften the boss up quite a bit. That's definitely making some progress. He's figured out hitting the skirt to deal one of those life bars, but he's still got to find that second weak point, and that's a little bit below the chin, sort of like shooting the boss in the heart, except for unlike most video games in which creatures have wildly unrealistic anatomies where their heart is exposed where you can see it. In this game, you have to just use your knowledge of video game anatomy to guess that they probably put a heart somewhere in this thing. So he's very close. There is no second phase for this fight. Once he manages to whittle that life bar down, he has claimed victory in Blaster Master Blasting Again for the PlayStation 1. A strange video game that is, in fact, based on the novelization from the Worlds of Power series. That the developers of this game decided that they didn't like the original Japanese storyline, and they ditched it entirely for a storyline based on a children's novelization of the video game. And if you are one of the people who have picked up the very excellent Blaster Master Zero games, you'll find that there are a tremendous number of references to all of the Blaster Master titles, including Blaster Master Blasting Again, and that by playing this game you will be well versed in all of those various references. I think Muir's a little bit far away here, not quite getting the full use out of the thunder. Not quite as good a use of the thunder that time, but that did soften up the boss so he can use a couple of blasters. Oh, here we go. So he's aiming in the right spot, but I think you have to destroy some of his other parts before you can deal decent damage to him. Alright, Muir's weakened him down. Muir's kind of aiming for those claws, I think. I don't think you really need to destroy those claws. Alright, he's found a weak point here at the skirt. So go ahead and hit those with his basic gun. Some nice jukes here by Muir. This is still a game of guess the hitbox. One hitbox down. Now he's got to go for under the chin. I think Muir's picked up on the fact that the diamonds are just completely harmless, so that's good. There it is. Muir's found the hitbox. And a couple of blasts there have dealt some pretty decent damage. Really wants to get rid of these claws. He doesn't need to get rid of the claws, but I think he wants to get rid of them. It seems like he's focusing a lot of attention trying to hit them. He's hearing sounds when he shoots at the villain's legs, and the blaster is not doing anything there. It's really just a waste of his ammo. There it is, a nice shot to the chin. Uh-oh, he's doing his super attack, but where should hover? And it turns out that's a pretty underwhelming super attack. Who probably wishes that he had been spending his time just shooting the boss. He's now using his electric attacks. Muir might also be thrown off a little bit that the when he hits the diamonds, it makes the "you did damage" sound, and so it might be throwing him off, thinking that he's actually dealing damage to the main boss. And there's another death for Muir. That blue set of attacks, I think, threw him off quite a bit, because he was suddenly not recognizing what the boss was doing. But that could also be a sign for Muir that he made some significant progress. When the boss starts switching up its tactics, it's usually a pretty good sign that you're doing something beneficial.
Acceleration Blast!
What?
End it! End this battle!
But my sister!
Believe me, Roddy. All of your experiences and all of the love you have felt. Put it all into that single acceleration blast.
Kaiser!
Thank you, Roddy.
Mother.
You'll be fine now, both of you. You don't need my help anymore. Right, Elfie?
Yes? Thank you, Mother.
Everything will be all right now. Now I can go to him at last.